Hey guys, what's up? What's up? Make sure that audio is good. Cool. Welcome, guys. Happy Saturday. How's everybody doing? Welcome, whether you're watching on YouTube or Instagram. Welcome to the Michael Harper Spanish Show. So, as you can see below, just a quick show today. Just going to do some Q&A. So while you're here, feel free to say hey. Feel free to drop any Spanish related question you have in the comments in the live stream. And if you're on Instagram, you might get a better viewing experience on YouTube, just being quite honest with you. But yeah, we're gonna do a Spanish Q&A. I'm gonna show you three really useful phrases and how to use them that you can practice. And then I'm gonna show you some Spanish memes that I find pretty funny. Buenas tardes de Senegal. Muy buenas tardes. Buenas, a sweeter place. That sounds weird. Out loud. Hey guys, thanks for being here. All right, so yeah, feel free to drop any question you got in the comments on Instagram or on YouTube. While I'm waiting on that, new Fluent and Spanglish shirts. If you're interested, there's the link if you wanted to go check them out. They're pretty cool. They're also available in white, which I think the white. I thought I would like the black better, but the white's kind of growing on me. I'm just terrible at taking care of white shirts. But yeah, I think that they're pretty cool. Pretty cool design. If you wanted it, check it out. I don't make a lot from it, but so it's not so much for that. It's just I think they look pretty cool. This is an idea I've had for a while. So yeah, we'll get into Spanish questions. Drop your Spanish questions in chat. And if nobody has any question at all, we'll go on to some Spanish phrases. What kind of Spanish-speaking country trips do you guys have coming up? Anyone have any trips that they're coming up on to a Spanish-speaking country? If so, where? Let me know. Could you please explain how to use te and me and when to put them before the verb? So I'm going to write the question here if I can. I'm going to try to copy and paste it. Let me see if this will work. Okay, so here's the Spanish question that we got first of all. Could you explain how to use te and me when to put them before the verb and when after? So me, te, le, or lo, or la, nos, les, los, las. If you're in Spain, you can use os. I just won't talk about it today. It just takes up more room than necessary. But these are indirect and direct objects, right? I mean, this is when you say to me something or me. This is like him, her. This is us. This is you. This is them, right? And so if I say I love you, that's te amo. You can't say amo tú. It just that this is wrong. Okay, you don't want to say that. This is the correct way to say it because it's an object. What is an object? An object is the recipient of a verb. That's the person receiving an action, whether directly or indirectly. That's why we have indirect and direct objects. These, by the way, are for indirect objects. Everything else is the same, whether it's indirect or direct. I'm not going to go into extreme detail, but I at least want you to kind of get this concept down. And so if I say something like, he told me yesterday. So let's just say he told. That is dijo. Yesterday is ayer. So now what we have to do is figure out where to put the me, the part of me receiving the action of him saying something, telling me something. And that's going to go here. Me dijo ayer. I'll highlight it so you can see it. Sorry, I'm trying not to sneeze. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Estornudar, by the way, is a really weird verb, but this is how you say sneeze. So at least we can get something out of that. Where do you put indirect and direct objects? So you can either, so for indirect objects and direct objects, you can put before a verb or attached to the end of a verb that is not conjugated or a verb that ends in ando or yendo. Ando or yendo basically mean when in English we have an ing ending. If this is confusing, I'm going to give you an example of this. Okay. I want to do it. It is actually an object, lo, because it's receiving an action, right? So I want to do it would be quiero hacerlo. So this is the case where we put it at attached to the end of a verb that's not conjugated. That just means a verb that's in its complete unconjugated form, which in this case, hacer, right? Hacer is the part that is not conjugated, and we are attaching it. We could also say lo quiero hacer because we can put it before a verb, before the first verb. Now, if we were to say I am doing it, we've got ing, which is again this ando or yendo. And so we could either say lo quiero hacer. Again, we can put it at the beginning. Oh, I'm sorry. Lo estoy haciendo would be I am doing it. Like, again, we can put it before it being lo, or we can attach it to the end. We could say estoy haciéndolo. And we would technically have an emphasis here, but it doesn't matter. Estoy haciéndolo. So we could say lo estoy haciendo, estoy haciéndolo. And in this case, again, we can attach it when it ends in this. So hopefully that kind of clears that. Good question. Let me see what other questions we got. Cuba, Venezuela. Tell me about using K. Okay. Mexico, Fuente. Cool. Got a lot of people going to. I mean, the fact there's only like 30, 40 people in this live chat and so many people are going to Spanish speaking countries soon. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. El cual and lo cual. Okay, let me just get through some of these. And I love you could be te quiero. Let me explain the difference between te quiero and te amo. No, this does not mean I want you. Okay, this is just a phrase where querer can mean to want or to love. All right, that querer can mean to want or to love. So when you say te quiero, it means love, but it's not like in the deepest love possible. If that makes sense. It has less meaning than saying te amo. Like I would say te quiero is kind of what you say to a buddy of yours, and then te amo is more like what you would say to a lover. It just it carries a bit more weight to say te amo. Okay, I'm gonna go scroll up through some of these questions now. Different uses of K would be good. So if we're talking about different uses of K, I mean, this is a big one. So I'm just going to go through some of the common uses. Obviously, it can mean the word what, like for a question. It can mean that. You can compare things to say than when you're comparing things. And so I wouldn't worry of like, hey, K has a million different. I mean, it does have a lot of different meanings, but I wouldn't let it stress you out because it's just going to become muscle memory eventually because you're going to know to apply it to different situations, right? So if I say, I want more than that, it would be quiero más que eso. We're not saying I want more what that. No, I mean, we just know that when we're comparing things, there's a certain formula where the formula for comparing things is going to be, más que to say more than, menos que is going to be less than. So it's just a formula that we remember. And that's when we use que. Where if I say, what is that? It's ¿Qué es eso? And we just know that that's how you say what when you're asking what something is. Um, you know, let's see. How could I use it in a phrase like that? It's hard to know. But yeah, I'll think of something. But yeah, let me know if you have more questions about K or if you have examples. Feel free also to leave in the chat like, "Hey, I heard this thing in Spanish, and I'm not sure why it was said that way. Could you clarify it?" And a lot of times, those are when you get the most out of it. When there's something that you just can't wrap your brain, you can't wrap your mind around why it's said that way, and so that's where I want you to come in here, and I can clear that up for you because I've been in your shoes. I know the struggles, so I know, you know, I know how to work through those problems that you're working through because I've had to work through them myself. Let's see. By the way, guys, while I'm slipping through the questions, you can feel free to check out the free training if you haven't already. The first link in my bio on Instagram or in the description of the YouTube video. It just shows you my 3 strategies. If you want to be a better Spanish learner, if you see yourself becoming fluent this year, or at least just being a more efficient learner, there's a ton of information in there. And plus, at the end, you'll hear more about my full Spanish program called A to Z Spanish University. If you're interested in signing up for that, you get a discount off of it for signing up for the free training, and you'll just learn more about it at the end. But whether you're interested in my program or not, definitely just check out that training. It just has a lot of, it's like my presentation on my methodology for Spanish on what you should and shouldn't focus on. So I'd highly recommend that after this live, you go check that out. But um, Indonesia, cool. Welcome. Let's sift through this question. Feel free to leave any questions you got. After this, we're going to give you a couple of phrases to do. Um, so where would an indirect object go? I don't know if you asked this question before or after I kind of went through that, but yeah, before a verb, or attached to a verb that's not conjugated, or a verb that ends in the ing ending. The recording of this live will also be on my YouTube channel. So if you want to, like, if you got here late, don't worry. You can go back and watch the beginning of all of this live. It'll be uploaded to YouTube afterwards. Wow. Leo says, "Wow, I'm a native speaker. You know more Spanish than I do. You might know more English than I do." So I like this question. What is the hardest thing that you faced in learning Spanish? I remember a time where, so one of the things you'll see if you check out like that free training is that my biggest focus is on verbs and verb conjugations in Spanish. So that's the hardest part of Spanish. And so what I did is I tackled that first. I was like, "Hey, you know, how can I be more efficient? How can I learn to talk in the future, in the past, in the conditional, and all of this other stuff?" And so I felt fluent in what I knew, right? So I felt like I could say what I would like to do, what I could do, what I did do, what I will do. I could say all of these things. I was like, "Hey, I can translate whatever I want from English to Spanish. I'm fluent." And then I found out about this thing called the subjunctive, and I was like, I didn't know it existed. I didn't know people really used it. And when I finally figured out how important it was, I wanted to quit. Like, I didn't want to do it anymore. I had like a little breakdown. I felt like crying because I was just so frustrated. I had been putting my all into it for the past couple of months. I felt I was able to speak with people, and I didn't realize how important the uh, subjunctive really was. And then when after I had like my little panic attack, I got back into it, got motivated again, and then I figured it out and realized it wasn't, yes, it was complicated, but it I figured out my own way to kind of work through it, and I got through it. And thank goodness. So that's the main thing is that there's going to be times where you feel like quitting, where you really don't feel like going on with Spanish, and you got to. You should at least one of the things in my program I tell people to do is I tell people to write down. Actually, in the free training, In the free training, one of the exercises I start off with is I tell people to write down like the main 2 or 3 reasons you want to learn Spanish. And it could be as simple as I want a Spanish speaking girlfriend. Like it could be that. But whatever your reason, I mean, real reason are, not just some like, oh, I've always wanted to learn a second language. Like, no, why do you want to learn a second language? I like the way that people react when they see a gringo speaking Spanish. That's a reason, it's a real reason, even if it sounds weird. And so you can always go back to the that reason whenever you're feeling down, and it's okay to take breaks. So, how long did you train until you were able to speak fluent? I mean, there were times where I would take breaks, but for the most part, within a few months, I was able to have, I would say fluent conversations with what I wanted to talk about. So if I were talking with a native speaker, no, I couldn't say anything and everything, and I couldn't understand 100% of what people were saying. But in a conversation with someone, I could have a fluent conversation with them. I didn't have to translate what I said unless it was like really something that I hadn't used before or something a bit more complicated. I could understand 80 to 90% of what they were saying. And so I would have these real hour, 2 hour long conversations with native speakers, and they were actually good conversations. And then within a year or so, I would say I was pretty much there where I dreamed of being, where I could understand, you know, 90% of what people were saying. I could talk about pretty much whatever I wanted to talk about in every single verb tense possible. My accent was starting to go away. So some people have done it a lot better than that and faster too. Especially like I mean, I did it in a time where I didn't have the resources that we have now either. So like I didn't have like the point of my program I made was to be the program that I wish that I had when I was learning Spanish, if that makes sense. I had a question from Linton. What country Spanish do you tend to speak? It's varied. I mean, I've had times where I've had a lot of friends from a specific country and my Spanish would kind of sound like theirs. And now I'm married to someone from Colombia, so I use some of their words, and sometimes the accent dialects come out. I had a time where I lived in Spain for a few months, and it just whoever I would hang out with the most was who I would kind of start to sound like. So my Spanish is pretty neutral, I would say. It's definitely I mean, more Latin American, but again, I don't like to focus on like Spain and Latin American Spanish. It's just a lot like comparing English from Australia to the United States to England to Scotland. It's like it's the same thing. It just sounds different and slightly different verbs and words, but does it matter if or when you put the prefix mete, etc., before or after? It's not necessarily a choice thing, I would say. It's more like you can always, so when in doubt, just put it before a verb. When it's like me, te, le, nos, even say, any of those types of things. When in doubt, put it before, unless you're sure that you can attach it to the end. So you can attach it to the end again if you didn't conjugate the last verb, meaning you have typically is when you have like two verbs together, right? Like I want, here's one verb, second verb is not conjugated. Or if you have a verb that ends in this ing English type ending, right? Great questions, by the way. Let's see. Is there a difference between me lo da and dámelo? I mean, technically, me lo da sounds like he or she gives it to me, and then dámelo is more like give it to me, like you're telling someone, hey, give it to me. But that's just like it's a short phrase, and when you start off a phrase like with a verb conjugated in the third person, as in like you're telling someone to do something, so you're telling someone in this case, give it to someone, give it to me. And in this, you're saying he or she gives. It's not give, it's gives. It's he or she gives. So that's the difference between that. Have you ever heard of the language transfer app? No. Is that like a language exchange app? Let's clarify that for me, Anthony. I haven't heard of it. I'm kind of out of touch with some of the apps, to be honest, just because some of them aren't that useful, or I already know Spanish, so it's uh, whenever I, what was I gonna say? whenever I have a student of mine that recommends an app, I'll kind of check it out. So, are commands something I should focus on? If you see yourself telling someone to do something, yeah. Like maybe your job requires you to tell people in Spanish to do something. So I would put a focus on it. Maybe you don't see yourself using that within the next few weeks. So maybe you can push that off. So, like, my thing is always learn what's useful to you. If there's something in Spanish that's just not useful to you at all, then don't focus on it. Feel free to keep leaving questions in the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to like the second segment of the show where I'm going to show you just some useful phrases that you can kind of use. And while we're transitioning to that, guys, again, at the end of this live, I'd really encourage you to check out this free training, especially if you are interested in learning about my full program and signing up for that. You get a discount off of it. You learn more about it at the end of the free training. So yes, I am marketing my program at the end of it, but there's also a ton of valuable information if you're interested in just accelerating and being a better Spanish learner. So first link in the bio and Instagram if you're interested in that. But let's go to the second part. I want to talk about these little Spanish phrases we've got. So got them written down here. First one is quisiera. So there's a verb called not a verb. Oh, it technically is a verb. Quisiera. So you say I wish or I want like something to happen. And this comes from, if you're a verb nerd like me, querer means to want, and quisiera is past subjunctive conjugation, but it's used not like any other verb in the past subjunctive. So it's not like a regular past subjunctive verb. It can be used like that, but it's also more just a phrase. So think of this as a phrase. Like, I don't even want to get into that. I want to hide that, if anything. Well, I just want to teach you how to use it because number one, it's really useful. You're going to hear it a lot from native speakers, and you can use it yourself a lot too. So, like if you wanted to say, this also can mean I would like I would like to do something. So, I would like to go could be quisiera ir. Yes, you could absolutely say me gustaría ir to say I would like to go, or quiero ir, right? So, exactly. Noah on YouTube, shoot me an email at hello at Michael Harper Spanish, and I'll get back to you. So let's see. I would like to go. Quisiera ir. Me gustaría ir. If you wanted to say, I wish, you could just say, I quisiera. That's like the most common way to say, I wish something, or I wish something would happen. I quisiera. You could say something like, I want to talk Spanish more. But if you're saying, like, yeah, you could say, quiero hablar español más o más español. Absolutely. But if you're saying more of this type of phrase in a way that, I wish I could speak Spanish more, I wish to speak Spanish more, then you're going to sound a lot more like a native speaker, just going, quisiera hablar más español. I wish that I could speak more Spanish, or I wish to speak more Spanish. I would like to, or I wish I would go to the gym every day. Quisiera ir al gimnasio todos los días. Or I wish that I had more time to go to the gym. Quisiera tener más tiempo para ir al gimnasio. So, like, I wish that I had, or I wish to have, I want to have, I would like to have. Quisiera is just you're starting to kind of get the feel of when to use it, right? And that's what I want. I want you to kind of get the feel of how and when to use quisiera. The other phrase that I wanted to kind of talk about was ni siquiera and the word ya. There's a lot of different uses of the word ya. So let me get up some examples that I had for ni siquiera. I mean, think of this as like not even. Okay. So, like, if you were to say an example like, I don't even know you. Okay, so this whole part of even, don't even, not even, is going to be the ni siquiera part. So we start off with ni siquiera, and then how do you say I know you? Te conozco. Ni siquiera te conozco. I don't even know you. You could also just say ni te conozco, which is the cool part about this phrase. You don't even have to put the siquiera in, but it sounds a little bit better if you do. Ni siquiera te conozco. I don't even know you. I didn't even want to go. So again, if we have anything that says not even or don't even, we're just going to start off the phrase with ni siquiera. Ni siquiera. You could say quise, you could say quería ir, ni siquiera quería ir. I wasn't even wanting to go. If you say quise ir, it's like I didn't even want to go, but I did go. And so, there's kind of a gray area sometimes with preterite and imperfect in the past tense. So I didn't even have $1 in my pocket. So we start off with ni siquiera, and then you could say, if we're just describing a situation like, oh, I didn't even have $1 in my pocket, we could just say imperfect. Didn't even have, ni siquiera tenía $1 en mi bolsillo. And sometimes you could say ni siquiera tuve if you're questioning, like, oh, why can't it be preterite? And it could. It's just when you say it in preterite, it's kind of implying like I didn't even have $1 in my pocket, and then that was the end of that action, end of that story. Whenever I'm telling a story, whenever I'm just describing something that's going on, it sounds better to use the imperfect in the past, by the way. Make sure I didn't miss any questions here, guys. Okay, looks like we're good. Last phrase I wanted to focus on was this word "yeah," because it's a super useful phrase. Super useful word, I should say. First and most obvious use is already, and then the another use could be right now or immediately. Another use could be soon, or I like to say in a second. It kind of like the most English translation of that. And then you could say like enough, like stop. And yeah, these are the most common uses of it. So let me put this on a blank page. The reason this word is so funny is because you've got like all these different contradicting meanings in one word, and it's so useful with native speakers. How can it mean already? How can it mean right now? And how can it be future? And how can it be stop it already? Like it's such a contradicting word, but it works. Exactly. So if I wanted to say I can't type today. I'm so sorry. I already went. How do you say I went? Fui. So all we got to do is say ya fui to say I already went. If I were to say right now, do it now, as in like I need it done right now, it would be hazlo ya. Do it now. Or if I were to say, could you make it now? Lo podrías hacer ya. You could also say ya lo podría hacer. You can pretty much put it at the beginning or in. When in doubt, put it at the beginning though. But it's funny. You could say, let's not open a new tab. Soon or in a second. So if someone's like, hey, could you make it? Ya lo puedes hacer. Couldn't you make it now? I could say, I'm about to make it, or I'll make it in a second. You know, you could say, ya lo voy a hacer, meaning I'm going to make it. This is how you say I am going to make it. And we put this ya here to say I'm about to do it in a second, soon. So, or a super common phrase is "yeah, boy." Like this is the equivalent of in English when your mom calls you to go, "Hey, come eat, dinner's ready," and you're like, "I'm coming," and that "I'm coming" or "I'm on the way" is like not really right now. Like you're not really on the way. You're probably coming in like 5 or 10 minutes. That's the equivalent of "yeah, boy," and "boy" we know means I am going, and so "yeah, boy." And then if you just say, yeah, so imagine a very angry Hispanic person saying, yeah, that's enough, or stop it. And so I like the word yeah, super useful. And it's good to just have an idea of it, of like how to use it. Because when you hear native speakers use it now, you can kind of replicate how and when they use it. So ahorita is a very similar, where ahorita can mean right now, it can mean in a second, etc. Let's pull up some Spanish memes, guys. I like to watch some memes in Spanish from time to time. And this is a good practice as well. So if if you want to become more like improve your vocabulary and practice Spanish without really feeling like you're sitting down and studying the language, I highly encourage you to just look up things that you probably look at on Instagram anyways, but look it up in Spanish. So I'll translate this for you guys, and let me. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up. Okay, psicólogo sounds pretty self-explanatory. Is what it means. Psychologists. Ahora, now. Tú decides cuándo cambiar. You decide when to change. Psicólogos antes, psychologists before. If you don't change, si no cambias, te tocan. Te toca means it's your turn or you're about to get this. Te tocan otros 400 voltios, so like another 400 volts. Your shock. So, uh, again, it's just a joke, but it's funny when you see like, oh, how do native speakers use and form phrases that are useful and useful by like this is something that would probably make you laugh in English. And so you want to figure out how to say those things in Spanish as well. And so I think that like memes is some of the best ways to get vocabulary. And then if you find a meme like this on your Explore page or on someone else's page, you can either go to their account or, you can probably find like similar things. And so just to make sure that I don't pull up something super inappropriate, I'm going to keep going with the memes that I had already kind of saved and put off to the side. Se incendia is a way to say, and with context, something is burning or, on fire. The El colegio, high school, or the school catches fire. La profe, como la profesora, or el profesor, the professor, the teacher, salgan en orden alfabético, leave in alphabetic order. And then this, whoever's name is Zapata, starts with a Z. And so again, this is a meme you've probably heard a million times in English, but it's cool to see it acted out in Spanish as well. Yo despertando de mi siesta depresiva. Me, the way you say like me is in like, who is it? Me, yo. You say it as if you were saying I in Spanish. Me waking up from my depressive nap con cero mensajes, with 0 messages y una notificación del clima and a notification about the weather. Pretty relatable. So another thing you can do too is you can take like movie scenes. And so, a lot of times you'll see movie scenes in Spanish or in English, I should say, with like subtitles. So try to find where you can get movie scenes with the Spanish subtitles and then go to their page whether it's on Instagram or TikTok. And the cool thing about it is you can repeat these things over and over again, and then you can also try to act it out as well. I don't think the audio's gonna play here, but we'll see. I don't think the audio will play. So the thing is, and I did see the audio play, which is awesome. So the thing is like, how can you improve your Spanish listening really? And if you listen to this and watch this and go, they are talking way too fast for me, what would I do to improve that? I would watch this over and over again until I don't have to sit there and like translate it anymore. I can just hear it, associate with what they're saying with the meaning, so that when I hear a native speaker use these words and phrases again, I don't have to translate it as much, or at least it's easier for me to listen. Because if I just listen to the whole movie, Interstellar movie, in Spanish, am I really getting anything out of that? Probably not. Like I don't know any Chinese, and if I put the movie in Chinese, am I learning Chinese? Absolutely not. So it's the same thing when people act like you're going to learn Spanish by listening to Spanish while you sleep. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Don't worry, I was one of those people too. But watch this over and over again and be an active listener, active participant, and then act once you kind of get down what they're saying, go along with it. Be like, mi hija tiene tres. How old was she? I don't know. Y no le enseñé las teorías de Einstein antes de irme. And so you can sit there and make these phrases your own. You can maybe change them. So so this part, no le dijiste que fuiste. I think it says fuiste. No le dijiste que fuiste a salvar el mundo. Didn't you tell her, or you didn't tell her that you went to save the world? So if I can say that, no le dijiste que fuiste a salvar el mundo, and I can say it without having to like translate it in my head as much, then I can easily insert different verbs and different um, scenarios. So maybe I don't say, hey, didn't you tell her that you went to not to save the world, but to the supermarket? Like, hey, didn't you tell her that you went to Walmart? It's like, hey, no le dijiste que fuiste a Walmart? Or if you wanted to say, hey, didn't you tell her that you went to play golf? I see golf here. No le dijiste que fuiste a jugar golf? And so all of a sudden, instead of having to translate anytime you want to say in your life, didn't you tell someone that? Or, hey, didn't you tell me that you went to Walmart? No me dijiste que fuiste a Walmart. So see how you can already make these phrases your own, and it makes it so that when your brain hears it next time. So now, you're an active participant in whatever it is that you're watching. So, okay, guys, thanks for watching the show. Please, again, check out my free training if you're interested either in just my methodology on how to accelerate your Spanish learning. My 3 tips or my 3 strategies, I should say, on how to accelerate your Spanish learning, be more efficient. And if you're interested in just learning about what my full Spanish program is, the whole point of my Spanish program is to teach you everything you need to know about Spanish in order to become fluent in the shortest amount of time possible. Teaches you every verb, tense, and conjugation. It's self-paced as well, so it teaches you, they're pre-recorded videos you can watch in your own time. And the point of that is, you can kind of see how I teach. I don't teach in a way that's like grammatic. I don't teach with a lot of grammar rules. It's very, here's what you need to know, here's how it works, here's the concept, and now I want you to go practice, and here's how to practice as well. That's how it's structured. You also get weekly sessions with me, in very small private groups, and there's a lot of stuff. Again, at the end of the free training, you'll learn more about it if you're interested in it. If you like how I teach, if you want to learn more, it'll teach you everything you could possibly need to know about Spanish in order to form phrases, become fluent, and have conversations with people. Everything like a college class would take years and years to teach you, you can learn within weeks, months in that. So that's my stuff, guys. Again, sign up for the free training. The first link in my Instagram bio or the link in the description of YouTube if you'd like to sign up for that. If you don't, it's fine too. I hope that you enjoy watching these videos. I hope that you like these live shows that I do. I really appreciate you being here. And again, I hope you guys enjoy this. The recording of this will be on YouTube if you came late or if you want to watch more of it. And this is an almost daily show. So I hope you guys like it. Feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram or to my email if you have any sort of questions or anything like that, whether they be Spanish related or program related, anything like that. Thanks for being here. My voice is tired. I'm going to go enjoy a nice day at the pool with my puppy and my wife. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I'll see you guys in the next stream. Bye.